Hello, hello. Hey, Corey. Hey, Miss Gail. How are y'all today? I got a little countdown going on Facebook, so we're gonna get started. As soon as this countdown go down on Facebook, we're gonna go ahead and get started. But while we're waiting, how y'all doing? How y'all doing this fine Thursday afternoon? Hey, bro. Glad all is well. Glad all is well. I was trying to give people a chance to get on. It takes some time on Facebook for it to get connected and all that stuff. Just ate lunch. I have not ate lunch. I'm having coffee. So with my labs. So I hope you enjoy my lunch. 'Cause I have not ate. I was trying something new on Facebook, so I think I'm ready. I think it's ready. And everything is connected. Yep, everything is connected. Oh, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna bring Facebook on into this, and here we go. Hello, Facebook. I've already addressed Instagram. They're already in the building. Ooh, somebody said spaghetti. Come on, spaghetti. That sounds good. Hey. Instagram is in the building. We got Facebook. Hello, y'all. Today's topic is going to be a good one. And let me just tell you, yesterday we talked about codependency, we talked about hyper independence, and we talked about interdependence. So today I wanted to take a minute and just break down what exactly is codependency. And the reason why I wanted to do that is because I see so many relationships that are codependent, and a lot of times people just don't know. And y'all, we've been talking about generational trauma, how some things are just passed down from generation to generation. So if these things are some of these behaviors or these roles, these ideas of what roles should be, if it's been passed down from your family line, then chances are you probably don't know that you are even you're in a codependent relationship because no one has ever told you that's exactly what's going on in your relationship. So we'll talk a little bit about that today. And I want you guys to understand that when I talk about relationships, if you're in the room on Facebook, let me know where you're joining from, and hit the share button and let somebody know that we're live. But when I talk about relationships, I'm not just talking about your relationship with your boo or your wife or your husband. I'm not just talking about those relationships. I'm talking about relationships in the term of any relationship, because you could have a codependent relationship with your job or with your business partner or with your child. Like these, when I say relationships, I strictly mean in this sense. I'm talking about relationship with anyone. So as we're going through this, as I start talking about some signs of codependency, just do a self check. Like this, do a self check, boo. That's what this is for. It's for you to just really do a self check and see, hey, do I really got these things going on? And if so, what do I need to do about it? Because guess what? At the end, if you hold on, we'll talk about some practical things that you can begin implementing in your life to begin breaking that, because it is an unhealthy cycle, it's an unhealthy pattern in your relationship that can be broken. Now, some relationships are beyond repair. And we'll talk about that too. What can you do if you I done did what I need to do in this, and we still got this thing going on that just ain't working. What can I do about that? Well, we'll talk about that at the end. So hold on, y'all ready? You ready? Hit some thumbs up, give me some hearts. Let me know that you're ready. All right, here we go. So, some signs you are in a codependent relationship. I love to start off with definition because sometimes definitions can clear things up even before I get into talking about the signs. So, codependency actually consists of two types of people in the relationship. It consists of the person that's dependent and the person that is the caretaker in the relationship. So you already know where I'm going with this. If I'm saying the dependent person and the caretaker, you probably already know where I'm going with this. But now we're talking about a relationship that has more. It's not boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. It's not mother, daughter, mother, son. It's more so parent, child. And it doesn't matter how old you are. But in a codependent relationship, what we see as a therapist, or what usually happens, is that the caretaker is usually the responsible one. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. And the dependent person is usually the person that is the child in the relationship. And that's not to be demeaning. It's just to say that that person functions as the child in the relationship, meaning in their behavior. So, in therapy, what we usually say is when we get a couple and we're looking at the interactions between the couple, what you typically see in codependent relationships is a person that overfunctions. So that's the person that's the doer, that's the person that's the chaser, that's the person that is the pursuer, and then you see the other person that kind of gets the underfunction in that relationship. So they may act a little bit more irresponsible. They rely on that other person to what children do. Like that's what children do. They rely on other people to take care of them. And so that's what happens in codependent relationships is the dependent person is usually the person that relies on someone else or the other person in the relationship to take care of them. So there we go. The parent child is a parent child dynamic inside of that relationship. So the dependent person, let's kind of break that down a little bit about what that dependent person looks like. So they may feel insecure. They may find that they feel like they're incapable of making decisions without the other person. So they're the person always checks in with their partner. They want to make sure that they're not making no mistakes inside of that relationship, but they just feel like they can't make a decision without the other person's approval. They're unable to manage their own lives, so they may have some issues with finances. They may have some issues with just managing their day-to-day lives because they need somebody else to do that. There may be the people that just put their clothes and all that stuff all over the place because they know that somebody else is going to come behind them and pick it up. Or they may not show up in the relationship and or help clean or help lead the family or help do whatever needs to do in order for that family to function. It may just be all on one person in order to do that. So it's an unequal, imbalanced relationship in the beginning. And then there's the caretaker person. It's the person that always feels the need to be needed. Now, I hope that you guys are kind of looking at where am I? Is this me? Am I the caretaker or am I the dependent person that always needs somebody to take care of me? But the caretaker is the person that always needs to feel needed. So what this person will find themselves in relationships is typically the person that rescues other people. Like they can always see the potential in other people. Like, I'm with them because I see the potential, even though the potential is probably not adding up to what they see right there, but they can see the potential. And they're the ones that always want to rescue people. They're the ones that always feel like, nothing can function without me being there. And if I'm there, it's going to flow because I'm going to make it happen. The caretaker. But in essence, they can't always be apologizing for things, not really taking care of their own needs, because to them, taking care of other people is how they function in the world. It's how they function. It's how they can keep going, even though they may have some hidden resentment in their heart. But that usually is what qualifies, or one of the qualifiers for a codependent, the caretaker inside the codependent relationship, is even though they're doing all of these things, they're the doers. They're picking up behind you. They're doing all this stuff. They're, taking on all these extra responsibilities, and they really need to rescue you. There's still some hidden resentment in their hearts and some hidden guilt behind all of that. Y'all follow me? So here are some signs, and I got these directly. Yeah, I don't do anything without doing research because things change so much. And part of my role is wanting to provide you guys with excellent information, good information, not stuff that you just find anywhere. No. So these signs come straight from Psychology Today. You can go Google them. They'll pull up the signs of codependency. Go Psychology Today because it's a relevant source. So here are some signs. You're overly concerned about what the other person is doing, thinking, and feeling, and you want to fix or rescue them from their problems. And we just say that. You're overly concerned about what the other person is doing. And I'm going to go through these because I want to make sure I get through all of them. It's 10 signs. Then, number 2, your relationship is consistently one sided. It's one person taking on all the hard work, all the responsibility, all the doing, all the taking care of the children, all the bills, all of while the other person does not show up. The other person is allowed to be irresponsible, to avoid the consequences, to avoid the actions of their behavior. Like they're getting to not show up. So, number 3, you sacrifice yourself in order to make other people happy. I can't tell you the amount of people, and I say women because that's who I work with. That's who I'm around a lot is women who do this. They sacrifice what they want, their careers. They sacrifice their voice. They sacrifice a lot of themselves, and then they get to 50 years old, 40, 50 years old, and they don't know who they are, and they don't know what they've been called to do because they've sacrificed so much of themselves and their lives for other people throughout the years. So they sacrifice themselves in order to make other people happy. In this research here says it can include their health, it can include their time, their energy, their money, their values, their goals. They're the mercy givers. They're the people who are compassionate and they have mercy for other people. And they're they do these things. But the thing about codependent relationships, that even though they do these things, they're not getting the respect. They're not getting the support. They're not getting the reciprocated things coming back to them from that other person. So therefore they develop this resentment. Okay, so and I'm guys, now I'm telling you, this is not just, we don't see these just in relationships with partners and marriages, and we don't see this could be your friend. This could be your friend that you always showing up for and they don't show up for you. So you can have a codependent relationship with them. Okay, so here's another one. You walk on eggshells around the person, afraid that what you do or what you say is going to not please them. So you may put your voice on hold, and I think I just said that a little bit ago. You put your voice on hold, so you may not speak up and share how you feel to the other person, or you may just kind of hold in how you feel and what you think should happen, or sharing how you feel with the other person. You just kind of hold that in because you don't really want the conflict. Like you don't want their smoke. You don't want them to say something bad or to dismiss how you feel. So you just kind of hold all that stuff in. And then number 5 here says you act like a martyr. Now, if anybody don't know what a martyr is, then go Google. I just tell you all that. Go Google because we should know definitions of stuff. If a martyr is a person who takes care of everything and everybody, and they're the Mother Teresas of the world. They're the martyrs, but then they hold in that resentment. That's what a martyr is. That's really what we've been talking about with this person since we really started. They're the martyrs. They get to get the accolades of, ooh, they're doing this and they're doing that. But then, when they get by themselves or in an argument, it comes up that they're really not all that happy. And, they really not all that happy because they're holding all the anger and resentment that they didn't get to do something 5 years ago because they were taking care of somebody else. That's a martyr. Number 6, you need to fix or rescue. Your need to fix or rescue becomes controlling. So it kind of consumes you a little bit. Like you're controlling people, you're nagging, and you're always on their back, and you're like, your need to fix them is kind of consuming your life. It's consuming your life and it's consuming their life. And here it says it's controlling. So we see people, criticism, ultimatums, nagging, giving unsolicited advice, giving unsolicited advice. I am having to learn you don't give advice to people who don't ask for it. Although it is hard for me. I have to admit it is hard. It is so hard. But I'm having to learn if people didn't ask, then quit giving it. Quit giving it, because what happens in codependent relationships, like you give your unsolicited advice, or and they don't listen to you, or they dismiss you, or they don't really care because they didn't ask for it no way. They didn't ask for it. So don't give unsolicited advice. Number 7, you continue the relationship even after the person has obviously hurt you emotionally. They cheated financially, even physical abuse, emotional abuse. Like there's things there that have hurt you repeatedly, but yet you continue to stay. Number 8, you spend more time taking care of others than you spend time taking care of yourself. I would ask people, when was the last time you did something for you? Like, when was the last time? I'm posting this to you right now. Like, when was the last time that you did something for you that didn't require somebody else's approval? When was the last time? Here's one. When was the last time you took yourself to a restaurant by yourself and ate by yourself? When was the last time you did that? I'm not talking about going to drive-thru and picking up drive-thru. I'm talking about going in a restaurant. The host asks you how many are to be seated, and you say, "Oh, it's just me." And they seat you, and yourself, and your book, and your phone, or you just you and your present, sit down and eat by yourself. When was the last time? When was the last time? When you even do that? There's some people that can't do that because they don't like being alone with themselves. Uh, they don't like being alone with themselves. It's uncomfortable for them to be by themselves or to do things that their partner is not there with them. That's a sign that you may have some codependency there, or you just don't really like being alone with yourself. And if you don't like being alone with yourself, then something's wrong with that. You should enjoy your presence. Okay, I stayed on that longer than what I needed to. You spend more time taking care of others than you do yourself. Number 9, you're afraid of being rejected, criticized, or abandoned. Uh-oh. So now we're going into talking about, and this is going to be a good leeway into what we're talking about next, which is where the codependencies, where did you learn codependency from? Where did it come from? Number 9, you feel rejected, criticized, or abandoned. So yesterday we talked about how those things usually come from a traumatic experience of some kind, or something that you learned in your family growing up, or that you've seen. So you're afraid of being rejected, criticized, or abandoned. Number 10, you often feel resentful, frustrated, taken advantage of, or unfulfilled. So you may be accomplishing things in your life, but you still may feel unfulfilled, because accomplishment don't necessarily equate to feeling fulfilled. We can accomplish a lot of things, but if we're not accomplishing the things that we should be accomplishing, we're not focusing our attention on the things that matter, or the things that prioritize. Like, you should be prioritizing what you're called to do. And if you have put that on the back burner because your partner, I talked about this yesterday, so go back and watch yesterday, because your partner or your mom or your father or somebody didn't approve of it or didn't agree, then you can be accomplishing and still feel unfulfilled. So where exactly does it come from? Where does this codependency come from? Where did you learn this from? Where did this behavior come from? Where did all of this start? Where did it come from? Number 1, it happens from a past relationship where the child learns that other people's needs are more important than their own. And so we see this a lot when we're looking at families where there's some abuse present, domestic abuse. We see it more so with domestic abuse than any other type of abuse other than emotional and mental. But with domestic abuse, where the child may have had to take care of their siblings, or the child may have had to take care of their parent, or in substance abuse, where a parent may, been struggling with alcoholism or drug use. And so when the parent may go off for 2 days, 3 days, or weeks or so at a time, and the child has had to step up and take care of other people, when their parent was not physically and or emotionally available. So they learn that that's what they do. They take care of other people. No matter how you feel, I can't grieve the fact that my mama's not showing up for me. I can't grieve the fact that they go binge for days and days on back and on end, and they come back and they're still emotionally not present. I can't really dwell on that right now, because there's things that need to be done. Like my siblings need to be taken care of, or like I still got homework to do, and I still got to cover up. And I know this because I've seen these happen with families of children that are in these situations, that will try to do their best to cover up that their parents are not there, or that their parents are neglecting them emotionally, they're neglecting them physically. And so they do what they know to do in order to take care of their siblings. And I feel so strongly that there's some people that are looking at me right now, that are listening to my voice right now, that understand exactly what I'm talking about. They've had to take care of their siblings or take care of people because no one in their life was there to show up for them, or to show up for their siblings or whoever they had to take care of. And so they have learned codependent relationships just from that alone, because they don't know anything different. It's what they needed to do. It's what you needed to do in order to survive. So we see that. We see that with parents who have had severe mental illness, or especially parents that we see, parents who are schizophrenic, or parents who may be bipolar, or who are in toxic relationships, who mentally could not be there, mentally could not provide you with what you needed growing up. They couldn't. They mentally could not. They mentally, or parents who had borderline personality disorder. And some of these you're probably going to have to go Google, because I can't give definition for it. But borderline personality disorder, where they may have been more focused on their boyfriend or their girlfriend or whoever they were with at that time, because they were struggling with their own abandonment issues, that they could not be there for you. And another thing we may see is when a parent has children, or adopts children, or take on responsibility of caring for other people, that we see that they overly focus on their children, or they overly focus on the person that they're taking care of at that time. And we, especially with parents, sometimes we get these kids. I'm sorry, y'all, I'm just gonna have to say it for what it is. Sometimes we get these kids and they become our life. Their little coos, and their little, affections, and their little pretty eyes, and cute little words, and they just become our life. They can consume our life. And so we can actually start forming a codependent relationship with our children, where we're taking on more responsibility. We're caring for them. We're not doing what we need to do in order to teach them how to live life on their own when they get to be 18 and 19 and 20, because mama gonna come clean up. Mama gonna come do this. Daddy gonna come do this. Like, we can form these codependent relationships even with our children. It's called helicopter parenting, when we should be teaching them about the real world, and teaching them different tools and things that they're going to need in order to grow, and to grow and to go, in order to be able to function in a relationship where they don't need a spouse to help them function in the world and create codependent relationships with their spouse, because their parents have formed those codependent relationships with them. So we have to be careful, even in our parenting, that their cute little selves and their cute little pretty eyes and all this don't have us holding on way too much past when we need to, because it's gonna come back up. Believe that. I know parents that whose children are 30 and 40, and they still rescuing them out of jail, or they still going to their house, cleaning up, and still paying their bills, and still being their mother, even though they got spouses. But I know people that are doing this. So we have to know when it is time to let go, which leads me into the next point: is what can you do? Like, what can you do? okay, I kind of found myself being the caretaker. I kind of found myself being the person that always depended. Like, what can I do? What can I do? If you are the dependent person, woo! Let me just go and group this together. Okay, I'm gonna go and group this together. If you want me to group this separately, then you have to book a discovery call. So for the ones that are struggling with codependency, whether you are on each side of any side of the spectrum, you're the dependent person or you're the caretaker, what can you do about it? What can you do about it? So these tools come straight from Women's Health. Number one, they say doing activities by yourself. Didn't we just talk about that before we even got to this? We talked about that. Doing things by yourself. Book a hotel room and stay the weekend by yourself. Go eat. And I know that's probably overwhelming for you. I'm just going to be honest with you. If you've never had to do these things, if you never had to put yourself first in any situation without it being ran through someone else, it's going to be uncomfortable for you in the beginning. But I want you to sit with that discomfort. Here I have my journal. I have several journals, y'all. Like, this is all of this is a built-in, and this like 1 2 3 4 5 6, it's about 6 journals and 2 on my desk. Get you a journal. You're uncomfortable, go sit in the hotel room with your uncomfortable self, in all your discomfort and all your anxiety, because your anxiety is going to flare up. You're going to be wondering what other people are doing, and is the house still functioning? If they burned down my house, yes, they have. Is my children being taken care of? If they didn't know what they're doing, I'm gonna have. Let me call my mom. Is she taking care of my kids like she needs to? All your anxiety is going to show up. Let me just show you. Let me just tell you, it's going to show up. So what you do is you take you a journal. You take you a journal with you. You take you something that you can write on. And when those things start coming up for you, I want you to journal about them. Why is this coming up? Where is this coming from? Where did I learn this codependency from? This is a good way for you, what we call self-help. It's a good way for you to learn how to process through what's going on with you. So you do those activities, and when your anxiety show up, get you something to journal, or some people are really good about doing voice notes. Some people are really good artists, so they draw. Like, whatever you enjoy doing, that's not the purpose. It's for you to find out what you enjoy doing and begin incorporating that in your life and actually prioritize. So if you're journal, if you're writer, write. If you draw. If you're a songwriter, go write some songs. If you love to sing, then go sing it out. Whatever you enjoy doing, process your anxiety through that. Thinking about, here's another thing. Thinking about all the things that bring you joy, independent of your pleasure. I think I'm jumping ahead of you. Think about all the things that bring you joy. What are the things that you love doing? If money was not an option, if time was not an option, because God will redeem your time. If none of that stuff was an option, what would you be doing? Don't worry about the money. Don't worry about the money. I have gotten to a point in my life, and God has provided. He has provided greatly. I have got to a point in my life where I'm not concerned about the money. I am concerned about being obedient. And I'm like, okay, Lord, you gotta provide. Like, you gotta provide. I'm gonna obey because that's what you're charging me to do. You're charging me to obey, to put what you want first in my life first, to do what you have called for me to do first. This is what we're all commanded to do. We should be anyway. And if that's absent of who you're with, that's absent of, who you done tied yourself to, if they don't support you, then that's a second look. Am I going to obey God, or am I going to obey my partner? Now, that's a hard look that some of us have to put. And some of your partners are not going to be happy with your decision to obey God and to do what you want to do for yourself first. They're not going to be happy. It's actually going to change the dynamic of your relationship by you deciding to put yourself. It's going to change the dynamic of your relationship. And some of your partners are not going to be happy. Some of your family members are not going to be happy. You're going to lose some friends. You're going to actually lose some connections with people. You may decide to switch jobs. Like it's a real life changing thing that's going to happen by you doing these things. So I have to forewarn you, people are not going to be happy. You're not. You're going to feel guilty because you're not used to doing this. You're not used to prioritizing. So sit down with yourself. What are some things that you enjoy doing? And make it, if you need to go to the beach by yourself, go to the beach. Y'all, I would take off whole days. I actually did not too long ago, took off a whole day. I was going to a baby shower, went to the baby shower, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna make a day of it while I'm there. Yeah, I'm going here because some of us need to ask our partners for everything. Like, I need to, somebody asked me to go somewhere. Oh, I need to go make sure it's all right with my, no, no. No, we don't need their approval for everything. We need to be respectful and make sure that they are available, especially if you have children. Like you have to coordinate those things, but you don't need their approval. You don't need their approval. We have some in Christianity. We have taught roles in relationships very wrong. We have taught that women are not supposed to have a life outside of their husband. Let's just be honest. Let's just be real about some of these things. That everything you do is supposed to be wrapped up in your family. No, and we have taught it wrong, and we need to go back and reteach it. We need to do it right because we've been doing it wrong. It's been wrong. It's been wrong, and I'm convinced that it scared a lot of people from marriage. It scared a lot of people from marriage. Even the topic of submission, it's been taught wrong. It's been taught wrong. Well, no wonder why we got women that don't want to submit, because it's been taught wrong. And we need to go back and we need to teach these things, because submission does not mean domination. We're submitted to one another. We're subject to one another, but we're subject to one another even in our jobs. We're subject to the people that are over us in everything, but it does not mean domination. Okay, that's my rant for today. Prioritizing self-care. I'm gonna get through these without going on my rant because I need to wrap this up. We're at 1 o'clock. We're past the 30-minute mark. Prioritizing self-care and learning how to establish healthy boundaries. Reflecting on any trauma that you've experienced, which will lead me to talking about going to therapy. Because a lot of this codependency stuff has actually come from a very traumatic place. Whether that's gender roles that have been passed down from intergenerational trauma, or whether it's something that had happened to you or that happened to you growing up that has led you to go into this codependent role, or if you have formed those unhealthy bonds with your children or people that you take care of, it may not even be connected to past stuff. But if you form that, then we need to dissect where that came from, and we need to actually go through the steps of giving you some tools of how you can begin forming healthier relationship patterns and behaviors and actions. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope that I've thoroughly explained signs of codependency. Thank you so much for joining. As always, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'll take questions. You can drop them if you're in, I think, on Instagram, there's a little Q&A box. I don't know anything about that box, but if you can put it in the comments, that'd be wonderful if you have any questions. If you are on Facebook, you can just drop them right below. I have my comments open here for those who may want to drop questions. Now, Facebook can kind of give me problems sometimes. If I don't see your comment, if I miss your comments, know that I'll go back and read your comments and comment on them if you have a question. But you can also sign up to do a discovery call with me. I mentioned that a little bit earlier. So if you find yourself in one or both of these well, you can't be in one or both of these categories. You would either be the dependent person or the caretaker. But if you find yourself in those roles or any of those roles, then book a discovery calls. Our discovery calls are completely free. So our first 30 minutes are completely free. And in that, the first 15 minutes, we talk about what's going on with you. We dive a little bit, or as deep as 15 minutes will allow, and you'd be surprised at how much things can be done in 30 minutes. But we get a little bit more details about what's going on with you. And I'll listen to you for 15 minutes. In the next 15 minutes, I'm providing feedback and I'm giving giving some referrals or some strategies or some things that you can begin implementing right then, right there in your life that will help move you one step closer to healing. Now, you're not going to get a whole healing session in 30 minutes because that's not healing work. That's not how healing works. Healing is a journey. It is a journey. So it's going to take more than a 30-minute session, but it can be a good first start for you. It can be the fact that somebody's just validating what you got going on, and someone that actually hear and can see you, because some of us don't have that. Some of us may not even have the money to even go see a therapist. So let's talk. Book a discovery call with me. If you're on Instagram, the link to that is directly in my profile. So you just click on my name, go to my profile, and you can book directly from there. If you are on Facebook, it's also in my profile, but I can drop it right here in the comments where you'll have direct access to book a discovery call. If you're on YouTube, it should be right there in the bottom of your description. You will see it very clearly. It says book a call. No, schedule a discovery call with us. And here I am getting ready to drop the link for those who may not be able to see the link. I can't do that on Instagram, but if you go to my profile, it's there. You'll be able to see that right there. And if I could do that, y'all let me know, because I'm still learning. I'm still learning. Okay, here we go. So I'm dropping the link in the comments so that you can book that discovery call with me. And for Facebook, I think you should be able to see the comment as well. I'm gonna drop it right here. It told me, got it. There we go. I got it, y'all. I got it. So that link to book that discovery call is right there. I also have a free resource called 5 Myths of Difficult Relationships. So if you're in a relationship, and if you're in a codependent relationship, it's a difficult one. Let's just be real honest. It's a difficult one. I also have a free guide that you will find. It's called 5 Myths of Difficult Relationships and Why You Should Not Believe Them. And in that, we talk about some of the things that we've been talking about today. Like, how do you know? There's a lot of stuff floating around about relationships, y'all. It's a lot of stuff that's floating around. And so in the 5 myths, I start tackling those myths, some of those myths that are floating around. And we actually talk truth. Like, what is the real truth about relationships? What should you be seeing in your relationship? What makes it a healthy relationship? How do you begin establishing boundaries? What is boundaries? Some people don't even know what boundaries are, and that you should have boundaries inside of a relationship. Even if you're in a marriage, you should have boundaries even inside of your marriage. And some people don't know that. They don't even know what that looks like. They never had anyone tell them that before. So it's an absolutely free resource for those who like, I don't know you, girl. I'm not finna book no discovery call with somebody I don't know. I'm just finna download this little free resource and get a little taste of who you are, because I don't play with my life like that. And you shouldn't play with your life like that. So download that 5 Myths of Difficult Relationships. It's absolutely free. And book a discovery call. Book a discovery call so we can begin talking about your next steps. I love you guys so much. I don't see any questions. I see you back here tomorrow, where we're going to break down talking about the hyper independent person. So those are your goal getters, the independent women. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. We're going to address that tomorrow, and we'll break it down just like we did codependency today. I love you. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. And thank you so much for joining me on today. Bye.